Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I put some dog noise in the background, so if you hear like some calming meditation music, that's what that is, and the dogs are in the other room, so you shouldn't hear them so much. So yeah, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about art styles and how to find your art style. I see this topic brought up a lot on art YouTube, and I feel like a lot of people say like the exact same thing, and I just wanted to put my own spin on it. So usually the advice goes like this: make a list of like your top 5, your top 10 artists, and then you trace their work to practice. And then once you feel comfortable tracing, you kind of remove the reference, and then you trace your tracing, and then you trace the tracing of your tracing, and then you start drawing and painting things in that style from whatever it is that you like about that artist, and incorporate it into what you've already learned. And then once you feel more comfortable, you kind of move on to the next artist and the next artist and the next artist, until you feel like you have found your own unique style, and then you start training yourself to draw and paint within that unique specific style in order to find something that is unique to you. And then over time, as you get more inspired, new inspirations, new muses, new references, new materials and everything, you can begin to incorporate things from there. But today I'm going to talk to you guys about trying a different method instead, or maybe you can do both. So I'm going to start by just encouraging you all to do some self-reflecting and ask yourself a series of questions. The first being, like compile a list or make a Pinterest board or a mood board of some of your top favorite artists. So that's, one thing you want to keep consistent. The second is, what is it about their work that you like? What draws you in? How does it make you feel? What is it about their work that you want to incorporate into yours? Okay, so here is the sixth question I want you guys to ask yourself. What do you want people to feel when they look at your work? Like, what is it about your work that you want other people to associate with yours? I'm gonna start by answering some of those questions myself. So as for what is it about the work of the artist I'm gonna be sharing later that I like and want to incorporate. So I like the representation of Black women, Black alternative women, larger body types, smaller body types, different hair textures, styles, backgrounds, scenery, incorporating different times of the day, like the lighting for morning, noon, night, indoors, outdoors. That kind of thing is very interesting to me, because you tend to want to paint things standard, but it takes like an extra eye for detail to realize, I want to paint this and make it seem like it's mid-afternoon but not quite night, or I want to paint this very early in the morning, or I want to paint this and have it look like it's nighttime, and I want the lighting and the values to reflect that. So I do like that and how it's incorporated into other people's work. I love work that is luminous. I love anything that glows, anything that looks shiny, anything that has highlights. I love anything that is whimsical, fun, silly, and just kind of has like its own unique experiences. I love anything that makes you feel like you can see inside of that other person's head. Like you see certain artists and you're like, wow, I could see like inside of their imagination. I could see like how their world looks or how they view the world around them. I really love work like that. I love work that looks like they created a whole new world. You feel like you're entering a different dimension, like you teleported somewhere else. I love fantasy, mythological creatures. Any one thing that has like big, shiny, sparkly eyes, anything dark and witchy. I love the use of bright colors as well as the ones that use dark colors. I love work that shows inspiration and personality. I've been getting a lot into food illustration lately, so I just love exploring different subjects. Yeah. So when it comes to answering my own question for number 3, values, color theory, emotion that they put into everything that they do, and how it just shows, and whatever it is that they create. It can be a person, an animal, a background, a piece of toast, a glass of water, whatever it is. You could see those traits in all of your subjects. So I do love that. How does it make you feel? How do I feel when I look at other people's work that I'm going to be mentioning towards like some of my top favorite artists? I feel seen, understood, represented, inspired, filled with more hope and ambition to do the same thing with my own work. And number 5, the question I ask you guys is, what is it about their work that you want to incorporate into yours? I want to incorporate more luminosity. I want to learn how to paint things that look like they're glowing. Anything that's coming from a lamp, a candle, a flame, anything that looks like it's glowing in the dark. I see lots of artists making people's eyes glow in Photoshop, or I've even seen people do glow effects in watercolor, and I want to figure out how they're doing that. Anything that just looks like it's glowing, I want to incorporate more of that. Fantasy, whimsy, and representation, as well as just overall creativity. You just look at something, you think, oh wow, that's so interesting. I never would have thought of doing something like that, but now that I've seen it, that is so cool. I want to incorporate more of that kind of thing into my own work. As for question number 6, what is it that I want to incorporate? Kind of a similar question to number 5, to be fair. I want people to feel. I want people to feel comforted, represented, drawn in, and filled with inspiration from my work. I want people to look at my work and feel good about it, and feel like they have an insight into what my world looks like, my imagination, and really see like the amount of emotion and detail and work that I put into these things. So yeah, I'm going to be mentioning a few artists, and I'm going to incorporate some pictures over the screen when I do post editing, so you guys can see the work associated with the artist that I'm speaking about. So here's an artist I like. Holly Axley is a food illustrator. I first found her on YouTube a few years ago. She has been doing food illustration for over 10 years. She did go to college for illustration, and then she specializes in watercolor. I didn't know that you could be an illustrator and focus on one subject mainly. She does portraits sometimes, but her main thing is food illustration. So I thought an illustrator was just like somebody that does work for children's book, manga, like graphic novels. Like that's what I thought an illustrator was. I didn't know that people could specialize in painting or drawing a particular subject matter and specialize in that and be commissioned to do that thing. So that was really interesting to learn about through her channel and her work, as she shares her experiences as a food illustration and as a food illustrator, as she does vlogs and share her work and some of the clients that she's working with. I think that's very interesting because that avenue of that line of work in terms of the artistic field was never really presented to me. I've heard of illustrators, graphic designers, photographers, designers, and fashion designers, and videographers, and all of those things in the artistic field, but I haven't heard of food illustration as in like actual like profession. So I do like that she talks about her work in terms of like just showing her process and how she paints, but also talk about the field that she's in. So if you're interested in being a freelance illustrator like herself, then she shares a lot of information about that. But more about her work. So I love how she leaves a lot of white highlights in her work, and is very intentional. She's not using gel pens, she's not using gouache or paint pens or acrylic paint or anything to add in those highlights. She's intentionally leaving out that white space and is very intentional, and she paints in very light layers, and I feel like the way that she goes about it really shows the true like transparency of watercolor as a medium. So I really like that about her. Minnie Small is an artist that I've been following on YouTube for a few years. I remember when she was first talking about her journey into becoming a full-time artist, and how she first started working in a grocery store, and like how she was able to slowly like prepare to like quit her job and pursue art full-time, and how she's been able to grow her YouTube channel, and she now has her own art studio and everything. I just think it's really cool. So she does watercolor, acrylic. I think I've seen her do some oil painting sometimes, and she does like some graphic illustrations as well. I first found her work when she was doing like travel vlogs, travel illustrations, and I never heard of like an artsy travel journal until I found her channel. So when she travels, she'll draw like little illustrations of where she goes, and then take it home as like a souvenir. She does take pictures as well, but I think that's so interesting because I never heard of people like doing an artsy travel journal thing until I found her channel, and now I see other people doing it as well. But like, I think she was the first person I saw that was doing that, and I find that very interesting. So I do love her work and the use of various mediums, and I do love like her vlogs and like some of the conversations she has over there. I think it's really interesting. Serendipity, I've been following her work a lot on Instagram for the past few years, and I have some of her work on my Pinterest board. All these artists I've mentioned are on my Pinterest board, but she's been on my Pinterest board for years. And I follow her on TikTok. She's gonna be taking a break for a little while, but I really just enjoy her work. Like, it's so bright and fun. All her subjects have like these really big bright eyes, and I love how she takes like her human subjects and meshes it in with other things. Like, she does like dragon fruit girls, citrus girls, pumpkin girls, and like she makes the eyes like different textures and everything. I think that is so cool, and I really love her work. I think that she is a digital artist. Correct me if I'm wrong, I think she does digital art. That's what it looks like to me. But yeah, anyways, I love her work and how bright and vibrant it is, and how it has like a hint of darkness to it. Lord Gris. Lord Gris is a digital artist I've been following on Instagram for quite a few years now. I'm not sure if she has a YouTube, but I just mainly follow her on Instagram, and I just recently found some of her work on Pinterest, and I use it to add to this board. So yeah, I love how some of her subjects appear to be melting, and how if she mixes like a human subject with a different subject, her human subject takes on the texture of that thing. Like, there was this one illustration she did of a girl with like a concrete texture head, and I thought that was like so cool and interesting, and I don't know, I never would have thought to do something like that, and I think that it just looks really fun. Happy D is an oil painter. I've been following her on YouTube for quite a few years now. I think she started her channel like 2, maybe 3 years ago. I don't think her channel is like that old, but I've been following her like since like she first started on YouTube, and I really love her work. Her oil paintings are always like so calm and serene. They're so bright, they're so vibrant. I think she has a very good understanding of values and how to paint subjects in the daytime and the nighttime, and how the light hits their skin and hair and all that. I just think it's so cool. She does watercolor, and I've seen her do some graphite illustrations as well, but she mainly specializes in oil paints. So if you're looking for like some cool oil painting people, then I definitely recommend her channel. So yeah, Leah Dunham, no, that's not her name. I know who I'm talking about, but she's another oil painter that I follow that paints like a realism. I didn't incorporate her into this Pinterest board, but yeah, her name is Leah and she does oil painting. If you're like an art YouTube person, then you know exactly who I'm talking about, and I will try to incorporate some of her work, post editing. Zeke's Lunchbox is the last artist I'll be mentioning, but there are so many more people that I truly love and follow. So Zeke's Lunchbox, I've been following her work for years. She is an acrylic painter. For the past 3 years, she's been working on a tarot card project, and she has just been taking the subjects of the tarot deck and painting it in her own style and her own interpretation. And I can't wait to get a copy of her tarot deck. And it's been interesting to follow her journey to see like how everything has been developing. And she's recently gotten into digital artwork, but like her digital artwork looks exactly like her acrylic, and she really knows how to like take the texture of her acrylic work and put it into digital format. So like if you're someone that doesn't know the difference, and you just wouldn't know. And I think that's so cool to see how someone can start from a traditional medium and go into a digital one and be able to kind of pick up where they left off using completely different tools. So that's interesting. If you like things that are really pink, pastel, very colorful and bubbly, and very whimsical and fantasy-like, then I think that you would enjoy her work a lot. There were lots of other artists that I'm inspired by on Pinterest. I'll put my Pinterest board below. There's lots of other artists that I follow on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I did not find all of the artists that I had in mind for the specific video, but I feel like I incorporated a great handful, and I've been able to kind of compare their work to mine, but not in a way where I'm like, oh, they're so good at this and they're so good at that, and I suck at this and I suck at that. Not in like a demeaning way, but just be like, okay, I like this work and I like this work and I like this and I like this. But what do all of these artists have in common? How can I connect the dots? And how can I incorporate some of the traits that I like about their work into my work? Not in a way that's stealing, not in a way that's copying. I'm not encouraging anybody to go plagiarize anything, but just like sit down and think about these questions. Don't just like, okay, I like this artist, let me trace their work and get familiar with it, and rinse, wash, and repeat. Like sit down with yourself and like ask a few questions and do some reflection and see where you come from at the other side once you get those answers, and then you can start incorporating those things into your own work. And then over time you will develop your own interesting and unique style. But I also want to say that as you embark on this artistic journey, you're going to want to explore different mediums. As you get more and more inspired by a variety of different artists, your art style may change, or you may have like a series of different art styles that you use for different projects. You may not have the same art style that you had a few years ago or even a few months ago. That doesn't mean that you're getting worse or your art isn't good or you're not going to be successful if you don't have like signature things that you incorporate into all of your work. People that follow you, if you have a following, people who know you, they're going to be able to recognize your work. Even if you think you don't have an art style, you don't have a distinctive thing about you that people can look at and say, oh, I think that's by so-and-so. Over time, as you do these kind of exercises and create more bodies of work and explore different subjects, people are going to be able to tell that is you. You may not draw the same or paint the same or scope the same or whatever is your medium in your mind, but like it'll all come together and be uniquely yours. Even if you are trying to copy or emulate somebody else's style, you're still approaching it from your own perspective and your own talent in your own way, and you're still converting like what you see into your own style, your own way of doing things. You'll find that there are certain things that you don't like and there are certain things you do like, and then you're just going to keep what you like and let go of the rest. And that in itself is going to help you create your own unique art style that is distinctive only to you and your brand. And other people, they can try and copy, they can trace, they can plagiarize all they want to, but you are the only person that is capable of creating your own work. I do hope that this video provided a lot of value for you and that you are able to take this information and apply your own interesting like exercises to it. Maybe there's something you want to add to it, maybe there's some things you want to take away from it. But yeah, that is the end of this video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you. Bye.